Eon Gaming changed the way we play retro games through the Nintendo GameCube, first with their excellent GCHD HDMI plug-and-play adapter, followed up with their GCHD Mark II. Now they're back with the latest development for the Nintendo 64 called the Super 64, designed to take the N64 plug-and-play to an HDMI output. Welcome to Rock Solid Productions, where in this video we are going to check out the Eon Gaming Super 64. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to Rock Solid Productions. My name is Gary, your host here on the channel. If this is your first time here, before we get started, I just want to take a second and thank you for stopping by and checking out what we have going on here today. I really do appreciate it. If this is your first time here, I invite you to check out some of the other videos that we have, including an entire Eon Gaming playlist here on the channel for you to check out with their GameCube adapters. And if you really like what you see here, do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button. That way each and every time we upload a new video, you are kept the most up to date. So the Super 64, this guy here from Eon Gaming, it is a plug-and-play HDMI solution designed for the Nintendo 64, playing one of the greatest games of all time behind me right now, Super Mario 64, of course. Now, before this little adapter, what you needed to do to go to an HDMI output or even just get a better output out of your N64 was, there were a couple different things you could do. Voltar has a great RGB mod which allows you to use component or SCART video cables out of your Nintendo 64. That's actually what I have going through here right now, and then either go into a RetroTink, a FrameMeister, or an OSSC to line multiply and make it look sharper. Great, but that's a lot of equipment, and if you don't have soldering skills, you may be left a little bit behind. Now there's also the Ultra HDMI, which is a whole conversion kit that puts a native HDMI output into your Nintendo 64. Beautiful solution. Super expensive, very difficult to install. You will need to have a professional installer, most likely, install it for you. That's the beauty of this here. It is designed plug and play. You plug it into the back of your system, you hook up an HDMI cable, and you just play. Now, this is the same output that many other Nintendo systems utilize. The Super NES, the Super NES Junior, the Super Famicom, they all use this same port. So we're going to check and see if this fits and if it works. What we're also going to do, we're going to, of course, test it out with some gameplay, and we're going to answer your questions that you left on our preview video. Let's hit the bench. So looking at the Super 64, I'm going to actually set the system and the Super 64 aside for a second because I just got to give some major kudos to Eon Gaming again on their box art and everything. Yes, I know a lot of people don't care about this. Being someone who works in this sort of industry, seeing the attention to detail on the box, I mean, that's pretty freaking cool. I don't care who you are. That's a pretty neat setup that they have here for the box. Here you can see on the back, you can supercharge your N64, play any N64 game on any HD TV, virtually eliminates all input lag, compatible with any HDMI enabled display, outputs the highest quality signal over HDMI, no additional modding required. Now, one thing of note, this is for NTSC systems. There will be a separate unit for PAL, so that is important to point out here. Setup is easy. Plug the Eon Super 64 into your N64. Connect HDMI from Eon Super 64 to your HD TV. Enjoy your Nintendo 64's full potential. And there's also what they're calling Slick Mode here. With Slick Mode, if you're not a big fan of those jagged pixelated edges, no problem. The Eon Super 64 offers a whole new experience with an added function that polishes out the rough edges, all with the press of a button. So you can go from those jagged lines to something more smooth. And that button is located right here. And we have an N64 here. Now, one thing of note on this system is this is actually not the system that you saw playing in the background during the open. This is a standard Nintendo 64, and one thing with this is there's no RGB mod installed into this. One of the beautiful things about the Super 64 is with like the Voltar RGB mod that I have installed on mine, I had to make sure my serial number started with NS1 to be able to install the mod. If it didn't, I could not use that mod with that system. Now with the Ultra HDMI, the serial number does not matter, but again, you're looking at an expensive and pretty in-depth modification of your system where this is simply plug and play. So to install this into your system, there's your multi-output right there. Plugs in just like that. There's no firm snap or anything. And it does protrude a little bit out of the back of your system, you know, a couple inches out of the back. Something just to be aware of to accommodate wherever you're going to install this or mount this in your entertainment center, that you do need, you know, a couple inches gap to be able to install it. So that's how it goes into an N64, but like I mentioned, there are other systems besides this one that use that connector type. Will it work with the Super Nintendo? No. The reason being, the way this shroud here hits this part of the casing right there. That's okay. What about a Super Famicom? Got my Super Famicom right here. Bright, retro bright and everything, looking good. Well, except for that part, I didn't retro bright. Same thing, it hits the side of the casing right there. All right, what about a Super NES or a Super Famicom Junior? Hey, it works, but will it? On this system, it potentially could, because I've also installed one of Voltar's RGB mod chips into here. However, I do not have the S-Video soldered up and connected to the mod board. This pulls the signal off of the S-Video output on the N64. As such, this will not output anything to that adapter. So you could potentially, you know, I could go in here, crack this open and solder up the S-Video portion of that mod kit. I have not done that yet. So maybe, it's a definite maybe. Have everything plugged in here. One thing I did want to show is it does not have the RAM booster in there. This is just the standard one that's in there. And I did want to give you just a quick look at what it looks like when I toggle back and forth between the standard and the smoothing. So the button is here on the side. When I hit that, if you look around the no controller and everything, how much smoother it is. Mario's a lot smoother. So before we get started with the gameplay, a couple things I wanted to point out. First of all, my normal capture device that I use, it's this guy here. It's an EasyCap 284. What I like about this is it actually has an onboard SD card slot where it just does everything right on here for me. This would not recognize the signal coming out of the Super 64. As such, I'm recording using my Elgato. For controller, I'm turning to the Retro Fighters Brawler 64. I just think it's super comfortable. I like the way it works. Overall, one of my favorite ways to play the N64. So let's get started. Now, for this one initially, I'm gonna leave the smoothing turned off. This way, what's nice is you get to see the way that it pans past the castle and everything. We all know these cutscenes, so that's a great way to kind of judge it right out of the box with familiar footage. I have to admit, Mario looks really good. Now, I am not a fan of the jaggies myself, so I would probably turn the smoothing on. In fact, I decided to go ahead and turn the smoothing on just because I'm not a fan of the jaggies. That actually looks really good. Overall, I have to say, just going through the castle, I'm really impressed with how sharp everything looks. Pleasantly surprised. I was not expecting it to look quite this good right out of the box, and it really does look good. And that's nothing against Eon. I love, love, love my GCHD and GCHD Mark II. It is my preferred way. Actually, it's the only way now that I play my, my GameCube. I just know that the GameCube adapter comes off of the digital output. This is coming off of just the standard S-Video output, and I didn't expect it to look this sharp. I'm not feeling any kind of lag or latency or delay or anything, and that's pretty typical of even the GCHD is pretty lagless. In fact, I don't know that I've ever noticed any lag that I could directly attribute to using the adapter. Anyone else try to cheat and get up here that way versus coming all the way around? I always do that. Or just kind of spin around here, give you a look at everything. Now Mario did look a little bit blurry from a draw distance, but I think that was more the game than the adapter. And that could be too, the smoothing technique. Now, we'll get into some more games in just a few moments. I know a lot of people have asked for different titles. I'll try to go through as many as I can. I do not own an N64 EverDrive. I prefer to play or own the actual cartridges and play the real cartridges. Plus, generally speaking, if you're playing with an EverDrive, you probably pirated the game, so that's why you won't see me test this out with an EverDrive. Diving into Jet Force Gemini, we'll see what... we'll go into a new game. I mean, here you can see the cutscenes. They look good and everything. They're at about 15 frames a second, which is kind of par for the course back in the day. All right, hey, after all those cutscenes, we finally get to do something. All right, trigger shoots. Got him. And there's an enemy, or not an enemy, but a one of the captives down below. I apologize for those of you who know and love this game. This is honestly my first time ever playing it, so I'm definitely learning as I go along. I mean, I could see getting into this. It's got a neat concept and premise and everything to it. I just don't know that it's the type of game that I would normally go towards myself. Cleared the first mission. There we go. Let's move on to our next game. Perhaps one of the best games ever of all time, Super Mario Kart 64. I think we're going to leave the smoothing off on this one. This is the game, this and GoldenEye, I think had more 4-player gameplay on the system than any other game. Well, got a good start, but I had ran into cars in front of me. Ooh, too much slidey. But at least we got Luigi. Ah, ran right into it too, saw it coming. All right, back up to second, and we can see Koopa's right in front of us. Don't drive angry. Got a nice little lead going right now. I always thought that replay board up above going in this tunnel was kind of cool. We got Koopa right behind me. It's actually really interesting to see how the graphics improved from the Super NES version, which is a great game. And I think there's a bigger leap between the Super NES and the N64 than the N64 and the GameCube. Because the GameCube version still looks great. Mario Kart looks and plays great. I just got to get used to where the triggers are now on this versus the typical Trident controller. Now, one request I did get was for an example of perfect dark playing through the system, both with and without the expansion pack installed. As you can see there momentarily from the splash screen, the expansion pack is not installed on this system right now. We'll put the expansion pack in a moment. So here you can kind of see the textures and everything within the tunnels, how they look. Got bullets, but I need a gun. There we go. And another, ooh, double magnum. So here's basically how it looks without the expansion pack. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the expansion pack, or put the game in the system with the expansion pack and test it out from there. Now you can see the expansion pack was detected. That Nintendo, those logos look a lot better with the expansion pack in there. Holy cow, that's impressive. And now we'll go into the combat simulator just to kind of show how it looks. I've never, like I say, I've never played this part, so my understanding is this is kind of an unofficial sequel to 007. I'm out of bullets. And I died. Let's try that one more time. Oh, that's nice. I like that. Well, hey, I got a kill at least, right? That's got to account for something. Oh, that's a BFG. I can definitely see the influences from GoldenEye. Got him. Okay, not bad. I could see myself getting into this eventually. Like I say, I have not played it before now, but this is definitely one that I would like to check out some more. And it looks good. There's no, like I say, there's no lag or latency or delay or anything like that. That's pretty darn good. This is one of those, Eon Gaming, if you're listening to me, this would be a great game to have as a tournament at one of your upcoming shows, just like what you do with Mario Kart Double Dash and Smash Brothers Brawl. But then if we're going to talk about games that you need to do stuff like that with, I mean, GoldenEye is the granddaddy, right? I mean, it is. It makes me sad how much I used to play 007 back in the day, and since I haven't played it actively in years, how bad I am at this game now. And I used to be really, really good. We'll go up the stairs and check things out there. And see what we can do with the sniper rifle. Oh, hello there. He completely didn't see me when I came up the stairs, did he? Well, he will be seeing nothing moving forward because he is dead. I have to admit, I'm playing a lot more precisely this time than my last time through. When I did the review on, I can't remember if it was the Brawler 64 or on the Tribute 64 from Retrobit. Both great controllers. I know people criticize me for not being as precise with my shots as I should have been. I saw a headshot there. Oh, there he is. Point blank range. Got all three of them. No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. I think I could get back into GoldenEye if I just spent some time with it. Shot in one each knee and then got him in the head. Yeah, the draw distance and everything looks great here. No lag or delay. I'm really liking what I'm getting out of this, and I will say that, yes, I have my system that has the RGB mod and everything to it. It looks great. But for the money that I have invested in that, between cables and my RetroTink or my OSSC, this is a darn good way to play, guys, and gals for that matter. I loved the WCW games for the N64 back in the day. We're going to play as the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. I'm, of course, talking about Bret, the Hitman Hart. Ooh, nice headlock takedown from the Hitman on Hollywood Hogan, the man who dodged the Hitman for years. This is the greatest night in the history of our great sport. Drop kick from the Hitman. Ooh, that was kind of a lion salt there. And again with the headbutt. Hogan is bloodied. He has the Crimson Mask. Hitman with the sharpshooter on. Oh, but Hogan in the ropes. Hogan definitely up against it here, against the Hitman without the NWO. to have his back. Here he goes again for the sharpshooter. He's got him in the middle of the ring. Will Hogan tap? He does not. Hitman to the ropes. Back with a ginormous clothesline, or a lariat as you were. Oh, nice reversal from the Hitman. Lands on his feet. Let's go for one more pin here out of the Hitman. 3, it is 3. Tommy Young counts 3. Bret the Hitman Hart is the new heavyweight champion of the world. Tommy Young. I want to see how many people in the comments get the Tommy Young reference. The last game we're going to take a really quick sneak peek at is, of course, Smash Brothers. And this has the smoothing turned off. So far, so good. No real issues with the controls, except for the fact I just don't remember all of them. It is similar enough, at least I have found, to Smash Brothers on the Switch that I can kind of fake my way through a lot of it. Ooh. I'm hitting Link with all that I have, but he's countering me pretty good. There he goes. Got him. Well, there you can see, I mean, I'm getting very little, if any, lag. I don't think I'm actually getting any lag. This is just a matter of I'm not very good at this game. Seems like I say that a lot, doesn't it? No! And I killed myself. We're going to go through some rapid-fire games here just to show you a few more examples of what this looks like. So here, of course, we have Banjo-Kazooie. Next, we're going to talk about a game that it kind of pains me to talk about a little bit, and that's Earthworm Jim 64. Probably one of the worst games for the N64 with one of my favorite characters, however. Here you can see that with the smoothing on versus off, the smoothing actually does make it look a little bit more blurry. That is something to keep in mind when you do go ahead and turn the smoothing on or off, is you may wind up with a blurrier image than what you really expected. One of the best games on the N64 is, of course, F-Zero X. Man, this game looks great. Look at how the draw rate and everything looks really, really good. It looks sharp. The colors are exactly as they should be. And this is really a good-looking game here on the system. What about Japanese games? Well, here we have the Japanese version of Turok. But one of the cool things is this does also show that it does work and is compatible with the Japanese games for the system. If you prefer games that come from the Lilat system, of course, Star Fox 64 does look really, really sharp on this system, as you would expect.
He's invaded the Lilat system and is trying to take over Corneria. Our army alone can't do the job.
And of course, if you're going to check out Star Fox, you have to look at Star Wars, right? I mean, it just goes to say, doesn't it? And once again, this is a game that does use the enhancement RAM card.
Luke, I think we've got a problem.
So there you have my, well, not so quick look at the Super 64 from Eon Gaming. What do I think? Well, first of all, for what it does, just everything else aside, it does a great job. The images coming out of the Super 64 going into my TV, they look great. And they really deserve a lot of credit for the magic that they've made happen here. Now, it is basically taking the S-video and converting it to HDMI. I'll give you that. But it's still going to be an easier experience than having to go through multiple different converters, and every time you convert something, you're going to get additional signal loss. Now, it's not inexpensive, and it's also not cheap. At $150 as the MSRP on this, it does have a high barrier to entry. But let's just do some math. Let's say that you only have an N64. And let's do the RGB mod, which would cost you $30 from Voltar's RGB mod shop. Oh, you need to make sure that you have a system with an NS1 serial number to be able to utilize that. So keep that in mind. Okay, so you've got that. The HD Retrovision cables, which are $60 to $70. And a RetroTink 2X. You're already past the cost of entry of this guy here, considerably. Now, with the RetroTink, you can use it on multiple systems. I will completely give you that. But if what you have and what you love to play on is an N64, this is a simplistic plug-and-play solution that gets you really good visuals right out of the box. Now, compared to some of the other cable solutions that are out there, I haven't tested them yet. We will be testing them in the future. If it's similar to the experience that I've had with other cables, all that is doing is taking not the S video, not the component video, it's taking composite video, upscaling it, and giving you an HDMI output. It's very similar to running through one of those AV to HDMI boxes. This is going to give you a better visual result. How does it compare to like going through a line multiplier, like the RetroTink, like the OSSC, like a FrameMeister? Well, it's good. I would say it's on par, honestly, with the RetroTink. It's very, very good. Compared to like an OSSC or a FrameMeister, well, those are going to look better because you can multiply the lines by a higher factor. So you can do 3 times, 4 times, 5 time line multiplier, and it's going to give you a better image. Same thing too with the Ultra 64. It is that, if you are looking for the absolute best image quality out of your N64, that is the way to go. I'm not going to mince words. I don't even think Eon Gaming would deny that. You can check with them on Twitter at Eon_Gaming HD, I think it is. But check them out on Twitter. I don't think that they would deny that the Ultra HDMI is the best way to get picture out of the N64. It gives you so many different options. But it also has a 2 times barrier to entry as far as cost goes. Just the mod itself is $150 to $160, and then you have to have it installed. Plug and play simplicity. Now, if you want to pick one of these up, do me a favor, head on over to castlemaniagames.com. I will have the link down below. And when you use promo code ROCKSOLID10, new promo code, you actually save 10%. Knocks this bad boy down to $135. Plus, orders $50 and up, you get free standard shipping and handling in the lower 48 states. So pretty cool. And if you need any other accessories for your Nintendo 64, like say you wanted to pick up one of the Brawler 64s that I was using to test with, say you want to pick up a Tribute 64 from Retrobit to play your N64 games with, Ryan has those over at Castlemania Games as well. So a great way to help support the channel and get the gear that you want. Now, if you do have any comments or questions, as always, feel free to leave them down below in the comments section. You can also email me at rocksolidmail@gmail.com. Hit me up on Twitter at RockSolidStudios, Instagram at Instagram.com/RockSolidProductionsGK, and over on our Facebook page at Facebook.com/RockSolidProductions. Now, this was simply a review. Hit that subscribe button. That way, when we do have future videos covering the Super 64 and other video game topics, you're kept the most up to date. We are going to be doing a separate video kind of comparing the video output on the Super 64 to HD Retrovision cables going through both a RetroTink 2X and through an OSSC. I don't think that the difference will be as big as you may expect. I was actually pleasantly surprised at how good this looked out of the box. Now, if you do want to help support the future of Rock Solid Productions and get early access to those videos, do me a huge favor. Head on over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/rocksolid. For as little as $1 a month, you can go ahead and get early access to all of our videos, exclusive one-on-ones, exclusive content, and you can also be a guest on our Wednesday live streams, if you so wish, called What's Your Wednesday, where we talk about what your favorite item in a genre is. So favorite console, favorite Mario game, favorite Sonic game, favorite controller, favorite era of gaming. We have that as a new feature here on the channel. And of course, like I said at the beginning of this video, if you like what you see here, if you want to see more, do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification. That way when we do post new videos, you are kept the most up to date. Eon Gaming, this thing is magic. This thing is absolutely awesome and I love it. And I was pleasantly surprised with just exactly how well it worked on all of my games. Not some of my games, not most of my games, all of my games. And you could see a real difference when going between the smoothing and the slick mode and slick mode off, and going between those that were enhanced with the RAM cart and those who did not have that. You could even see a bigger difference still there. If you have a Nintendo 64, if you don't want to shell out the money for an Ultra 64, and you want a really good plug-and-play solution, I really dig the Super 64 from Eon Gaming. I think you will too. My name is Gary. This has been Rock Solid Productions, and our look at the Super 60. Well, this is just the box. It's still plugged in back here. This has been the Super 64 from Eon Gaming. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.